I started writing, I always had the feeling that the book was like a gift, that it would just fall on my lap like an apple or something, and it wasn't mine. So I always had the feeling that it was not going to happen again. That I had written The House of the Spirits and that was it. Or I had written the second or third book and that was it. And what I've learned in time, in 32 years of writing, is that it's a lot of work. And if I just show up and I work and work, there's a moment, a magical moment at some point when it clicks. And then you don't need the effort anymore. It's like dancing. When you're dancing and counting the steps, you're not dancing. When your body just goes, then you're dancing. And then there's a rhythm, there's a velocity, there's a feeling, there's a joy that you cannot describe. And it happens in spite of you. And I think that's the moment in writing when the book starts to happen. And from that point on, it's all joyful. At the beginning, it's work. My granddaughter was playing a role-playing game called Ripper in the kitchen. And I said, what are you doing? And she said, playing this game. With whom? She was online, playing with people in other places. So I thought, this is a wonderful idea. And in the game, you create a character, and the character is supposed to catch Jack the Ripper. That's the game. And it's a game that exists. And I asked her, can we just put all this action in San Francisco into 2012 instead of being in London in 1888? And she said, you can put it anywhere. And so I played the game with her a couple of times, got the idea, and that's how it happened. In the case of the villain in Ripper, nothing justifies what he does, but you need to be able to explain it. So I work with a psychologist that has worked with serial killers. And he gave me all the circumstances that would turn a person who is already a little demented into a serial killer. What happens in the life of a person? And I introduced all that in the life of the villain. I worked backward with the villain. If I have spent a year working in something and researching, it's because I take it very seriously. I take very seriously the craft of writing the book, but I cannot take very seriously the genre, because we all agree that this is a convention, a formula. I agree with the reader that we are going to believe this story that I am proposing. And in that sense, it's a much lighter tone than the historical novel about slavery, for example, or about the conquest of Chile. I'm trying to write another book. Not very successful. And as I was saying, if I show up long enough, it might happen. But we have had some difficult times in our family. My stepson died of an overdose, and my husband went into a very deep depression. So we are just coming out of it, and he's much better now, thank God. Don't think that you're going to write the great American novel in one sitting. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time and dedication. But the best advice is not mine. I heard it from Elizabeth Gilbert. She said, someone asked in the audience this question, and her reply was, don't expect your art to support you or to give you fame. You write because if you don't do it, the weight will kill you, passion. And I think it's such a great answer, because people think that they will write for money or to be famous. The ones that are successful, that can make a living with writing, are so few that you can count them with one hand or two. And the rest just do it because they love it, and they can't stop. It's an addiction.